This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on 39 Dunedin News, Red Peak makes the cut, but one political commentator says it's unlikely to make a difference. We find out how a one-woman play is sharing the life of its subject and raising the profile of a Dunedin education centre. And two athletes from all over Otago put on the hard yards in a regional competition despite aiming for a goal that's further afield. Good evening, Dunedin. I'm Rebecca Dupree. The national flag referendum is being amended to include a fifth option. Adding the Red Peak design will cost nearly $400,000. And a local academic says that is likely to be an unnecessary waste of money.
This is the top pick for New Zealand's flag. The status quo is preferred by a large percentage of Kiwis, despite huge support for the Red Peak design.
I don't think there's really been a grassroots desire to change the flag at the moment, and we see that reflected in surveys, and therefore, it will be seen as a waste of money. $26 million on a vanity project for the Prime Minister will really be that how it's perceived at the end if there's no change at all.
50,000 people signed a petition supporting the Red Peak design. It'll cost an extra $380,000 to reprint voting material and change the vote processing system. That's on top of the $26 million already been spent. But this political commentator says the investment won't pay off, as a new flag's unlikely to win both referendums.
I saw that the iPredict website, which is a political betting website where people can buy and sell stocks and political outcomes, has the chances of Red Peak winning at 21%. And I think that's overly inflated. I don't think there's anything like a 20% chance of Red Peak becoming our new flag.
The public plea for inclusion of the Red Peak design is just one of several issues New Zealanders have been protesting. Edward says the government's acceptance of a minute issue with no political repercussions makes it seem more transparent and more cooperative.
When any government is choosing what they can and can't do, some things are easier than others. And so it has been relatively easy for the government to yield on the issue of Red Peak. They've, in one day, managed to push through legislation to include it on the ballot. And I think they've got some brownie points because of that. It hasn't really cost them anything.
The public can vote on one of the 5 options in November, with the winner competing against the current flag in a second referendum next year. But at this rate, the current flag looks set to stay. Annabelle Dick, 39 Dunedin News.
Police are investigating a suspicious house fire in Caversham, which lit up the suburb on Saturday night. The fire destroyed this house in Thorn Street. Emergency services were called to the blaze just before 10 p.m. Police believe the fire may have been deliberately lit, although investigators have yet to confirm that. The fire was described as being quite large, but no one was injured in the blaze. Firefighters from Lookout Point in St Kilda initially responded to the incident. They soon called for backup from the Central City and Roslyn stations. A scene guard stayed at the property overnight. Police say the investigation is continuing. A timeless message of peace is being told locally through a one-woman play. An Austrian actress is in Dunedin sharing the life and work of the first woman to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. And she's helping to raise the profile of one of the city's tertiary centres.
Rehearsing a century-old message of peace, Austrian theatre actress Maxi Blaha is practising for her Dunedin performance of a play about Bertha von Suttner. The late Austrian pacifist became the first female recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize in 1905.
And she was even invited by President Roosevelt to the White House. She was the first woman to speak in Rome at the Congress. And she was a very, very special and very powerful and strong woman.
Blaha's been travelling the world with her 55-minute monologue since March last year. She first performed it for the Austrian Parliament to commemorate the 100th anniversary of World War I. It was a timely act, given that von Suttner died just 1 week before the war's outbreak.
She knew that a world war would be breaking out because she was very aware and she was always warning people, and she was the founder of the Austrian Peace Society and the German Peace Society.
The local staging of the play is being supported by the National Centre for Peace and Conflict Studies. Staff are hoping it raises some awareness of the work being done through the University of Otago department.
We want to broaden our message, which is to look at how the world sustains peace, creates peace. What is it that can make a peaceful world?
The play was written especially for the 43-year-old actress, and she's been invited to perform it about 80 times all over the world. It's something the Peace Centre aims to engage residents with. Rosie Mannins, 39, Dunedin News.
A home brew operation has been targeted by thieves and police are investigating. Several pieces of brewing equipment and an unknown quantity of beer was stolen during a daytime burglary. It happened at a Princes Street property, part of which is under construction. The stolen items belong to an upstairs resident at the address. Officers say there's no sign of forced entry and they suspect thieves entered through the rear door of a commercial kitchen. Building supplies on site were also thrown around and several taps were left running. Several of the region's top athletes are preparing for one of the biggest events in their sporting calendar. Locals have been competing in the Otago Duathlon Championship over the weekend, and for many it was their last practice run before a major international contest.
Racing one last time on home soil. Local athletes are training hard for the World Duathlon Championships in just a few weeks. They've been using the Otago Championship to prepare tackling the same distances they'll soon face in Adelaide.
It's probably the last hit out for most athletes to do the event in race pace and getting used to transition zones and making sure the uniform's comfortable and just fine-tuning some of the race aspects.
14 members of the Dunedin Triathlon and Multisport Club are going to the World Champs. Jude Patterson is one athlete heading across the ditch next month. She's been fine-tuning some of the more challenging aspects of the sport.
The run off the bike is the most challenging part. Your legs are like jelly, so to go from a cycling position to a running position is actually quite difficult, so it takes a lot of practice. Yeah, but once you do practice, it does get a little bit easier, not that much though.
Both junior and senior Otago-based athletes are set to compete internationally. For some, it'll be their first time racing at the highest level. And despite a few nerves, there's plenty of confidence within the local club.
A lot of people have just got their own personal goals around times, and if you do your best on the day and somebody else beats you, then it's as good as you can do.
Athletes now have their sights set on Adelaide with the last local competition behind them. They'll be jetting off just as soon as they can catch their breath. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
Still to come on 39 Dunedin News, we take a look at the outcomes of the Mayor's recent visit to China, and seafood lovers were spoilt over the weekend. We'll find out why.
We can't guarantee what people will do once they leave here, but we can sure as hell try to make it better. We're making headways, especially with our offenders going out and the integration between our industries and the outside industries, like the real stuff. Society just needs to give these guys a chance.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell menswear, it fits.
Big Orange for all your movies, records, books and games. Pre-loved needs and vinyl records, 45s, DVDs. A South Dunedin family-owned business for over 15 years. Check us out on Facebook, opposite Westpac on the sunny side of King Edward Street.
128 tracks. Dynamic automation, dual faders, and totally digital. This is state-of-the-art music production. The SSL Digital Console. You'll find one in the BBC studios in London, another at CBS studios in New York, and now one at the University of Otago. It's a good reason why our sound now sounds even better. My name is Maddie Parkins Craig, and this is my place in the world.
Take your place in the world.
McClellan Refrigeration is your one-stop shop for heat pumps in Dunedin. We have a range of heating, air conditioning and refrigeration solutions. We also have 20 years experience. McClellan Refrigeration, call us on 477 0088.
At your locally owned and operated Veggie Boys store, we've got fresh produce daily, fruit, veggies and more. Competitive prices are just one of the reasons people come to us in all seasons. Convenient locations and friendly crew, Veggie Boys Dunedin, come try something new. Stores in the north, the south, be our guest, Centre City as well to serve you the best. Daily specials on produce that are hard to beat, all tasty and healthy and all good to eat. Don't forget we've also got your milk, bread and meat. Veggie Boys Dunedin, you're guaranteed a treat.
Active Furnishers Limited, home of quality service with superior product and an in-house design team who are always happy to advise and create an imaginative solution for you. Active Furnishers Limited, part of Dunedin's design history.
Tune in on Thursday for Motorsport Night on Dunedin Television.
Is a very tragic death, a very painful death, a very prolonged death, and certainly nothing that needs to happen.
It's not part of our anatomy that people like to think about that much, but actually we need to.
People don't know the symptoms. About half of people you ask don't know the symptoms of the disease, and that makes them very much at risk of dying from the disease or having a much poorer outcome, because the disease is very curable if it's caught early.
Welcome back. The value of exports is being driven up by a record beef season. Last month, beef exports were almost double what they were in August 2014. In the last year, they've hit a new record of $3 billion. Beef exports are also on track to hit a peak in quantity, with more than 400,000 sent overseas so far this season. The United States remains New Zealand's top beef export destination. The increasing value of fresh fruit is also helping to improve exports overall. And on that note, let's take a look at today's financials. The NZX 50 has closed the day up 12 points. It's now at 5,699. The FTSE is up 148 points. And to the exchange rates, and the Kiwi dollar is up against all the currencies we follow. Dunedin Mayor Dave Cull has just been touring China as part of ongoing work to strengthen ties with the emerging superpower. He joins us to discuss the outcomes of the trip. Good evening.
Good evening.
And welcome back.
Thank you.
Now, what was the Mayoral Forum that you were involved in?
The Mayoral Forum was in Xiamen, and it was the first time that China and New Zealand had a Mayoral Forum. So 12 New Zealand mayors, 13 Chinese mayors in one place for one day.
Why is it a significant event?
Well, it's an endeavour to get some interaction at a sub-national level. It came about, President Xi came to New Zealand in November last year, met the Prime Minister here, he brought some mayors with him. Local government New Zealand got together with its counterpart in China and said, we could have some interaction that doesn't have to have the Prime Minister and the President supervising it, and that's what came of it.
What were the outcomes of the forum?
The outcomes were mainly identifying what different regions in China and different areas in New Zealand might be able to offer each other. So a fair bit of positioning statements and things like that, but a much better appreciation on our part of the range and variety of what China has to offer, and the range and variety of what they want from us.
Now, you've also had a meeting with a student recruitment company.
Yes, we went to Beijing and met the biggest student recruitment company in China. We're talking about tailoring a package in Dunedin specifically for them, so that it's not like any other package. It might include accommodation, it might include a number of other things, and they would then market that to attract students to Dunedin.
How would that benefit Dunedin?
Well, students that come to Dunedin either to high school or to tertiary education pay for it. And so clearly there's a considerable economic benefit, but there's also a potential business benefit. They tend to have, the students that come here from China and some other parts of the world tend to have parents who are business people or are in a position to invest or whatever, so more things come out of that. That's been the experience anyway.
Are we seeing any benefits from this relationship so far?
Oh, we're seeing a number of benefits, not just with sister cities Shanghai, but we've got a friendly cities agreement with Qingdao. Qingdao is the base for the Hire Group, which owns Fisher & Paykel. They employ some 180 or 200 people in the main street of our city, and the increase in numbers here, and these are high-paid, highly qualified jobs. The increase came after we made contact with Qingdao, signed the MOU, visited them in their home city, and they've been here. In fact, there's a delegation coming in about a week and a half.
Now, you met some other important diplomats while you were over there. Tell us about those.
Yeah, the Consul General the New Zealand Consul General in Shanghai is an ex-Dunedin person, and she used to work with Education New Zealand. She's very knowledgeable about that whole sector and very supportive of Dunedin. So there's that's another contact, if you like, another link in the chain of establishing connections between Dunedin's institutions, Shanghai institutions, and mutual recruitment both ways.
Why is our relationship with Shanghai unique?
Well, the fact that there's 24 million people there and only 125,000 here says something about it. It is remarkable that we achieved that sister city relationship. If we were starting from scratch, we wouldn't get it. But they have themselves, the Mayor of Shanghai, with whom now I've had lunch in the last 2 trips, has specifically said of their 70-odd sister cities, we're in the top 10. And part of that is because we put a lot of effort in. We see it as reciprocal. So we offer mayoral scholarships for students coming here. They offer similar things for us. And we also have contacts. Our museums get on together. Our Chinese garden is a sister garden of Yu Yuan in Shanghai. The university, the Polytech, and the chambers of commerce particularly, and increasing numbers of business contacts.
Mayor Dave Cull, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
After the break on 39 Dunedin News, thousands turn out for the city's Seafood Festival, despite the weather. And we'll find out how Dunedin's Chinese community is celebrating their annual harvest.
Do you want support for your breathing? You are not alone. In New Zealand, over 600,000 people have some form of breathing difficulty, especially with the high pollen season in New Zealand. Puff Plus is an excellent natural product developed to support lung function and breathing difficulties. Puff Plus is so effective, you get a no questions asked, money back guarantee on the first purchase. Give it a go, you have nothing to lose. Call now, 0800 502 402. Take as directed. If symptoms persist, see your healthcare professional.
She's 21 metres long with a 6.7 metre beam. She can support diving, seafloor mapping and sampling, deep water measurements, and has onboard laboratories. She has a range of 1,000 nautical miles, which means the Polaris 2 can take your studies further than you ever thought possible. My name's Will Raymond, and this is My Place in the World.
Take your place in the world.
At your locally owned and operated Veggie Boys store, we've got fresh produce daily, fruit, veggies and more. Competitive prices is just one of the reasons people come to us in all seasons. Convenient locations and friendly crew, Veggie Boys Dunedin, come try something new. Stores in the north, the south, be our guest, Centre City as well to serve you the best. Daily specials on produce that are hard to beat, all tasty and healthy and all good to eat. Don't forget we've also got your milk, bread and meat. Veggie Boys Dunedin, you're guaranteed a treat.
Active Furnishers Limited, home of quality service with superior product and an in-house design team who are always happy to advise and create an imaginative solution for you. Active Furnishers Limited, part of Dunedin's design history.
Wake up time and another frantic day ahead for Haraway's Oat Singles. With 3 delicious flavours in each pack, they don't last long with this family. They're so convenient and tasty, and they're ready in seconds. Haraway's Oat Singles are the ideal breakfast or snack on the run for today's busy families. And there's a flavour to suit everyone. Beat the rush and make sure you get your favourite flavour. Haraway's Oat Singles. Try new Kiwi Favourites Caramel Variety Pack.
Pellet fires are growing in popularity in Otago, with people who want a clean and efficient form of home heating. The sight of a burning flame without the problems of chopping, stacking and carting wood around is a winner. Pellet fires, so easy, so efficient.
McClellan Refrigeration is your one-stop shop for heat pumps in Dunedin. We have a range of heating, air conditioning and refrigeration solutions. We also have 20 years experience. McClellan Refrigeration, call us on 477 0088.
Big Orange for all your movies, records, books and games. Pre-loved needs and vinyl records, 45s, DVDs. A South Dunedin family-owned business for over 15 years. Check us out on Facebook, opposite Westpac on the sunny side of King Edward Street.
Pregnant? Need to talk? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Pregnancy counselling services are here to help. It's free, it's confidential. Call us now on 0800 773 462.
So many people don't understand just how prevalent this cancer is.
New Zealand has one of the highest rates of bowel cancer in the developed world.
100 people every month will die of this disease, and a lot of those people are dying quite needlessly.
It's really important to get away from this horrible statistic and to make a difference here.
So we need that to change. We need people to be much more comfortable going to their GP and saying, actually, like, I'm really worried about this.
Welcome back. Thousands of foodies have been indulging in some of the freshest seafood on offer at Port Chalmers. Bluff oysters and more than 200 litres of clam chowder were on the menu at the city's biennial seafood festival, but a warm welcome wasn't in store for the large crowd.
Serving up treats straight from the ocean. Locals and tourists were waiting patiently to get their fill at the Port Chalmers Seafood Festival. Food was the main drawcard of the third biennial event, although not the sole focus.
We want people to enjoy being in Port Chalmers. It's about raising the profile of Port Chalmers and the West Harbour area and Dunedin more generally. And we want them to want to come back and see what else is here and enjoy what Port has to offer.
Hundreds of volunteers from local organisations were working to ensure everything ran smoothly. They were happy to give their time freely, as donations from the festival will be dished out to community groups. It's a credit to those helping to grow the event.
Being our third festival as a group of volunteers, it's coming together more easily. What we hear from the community is lots of really good talk. People are talking about it, and we try and listen to what the community is saying to find ways to improve it. So I think it's getting to be a bigger and better event.
As expected, there was a heap of seafood on offer. It included 900 bluff oysters, 40 kilograms of sole and 250 litres of clam chowder. The hearty food helped to keep punters happy on what was a chilly spring Saturday.
I think it's a good chance for the people of Otago to get together and celebrate the good local produce and food and wine that we've got in this region, and have a good opportunity to go further than just the farmers market. And it's a really good turnout for such a freezing cold spring day, unfortunately.
More classic dishes were also on offer for those with less adventurous taste buds. And with gourmet options in the mix, the festival was bound to leave a good taste in the mouths of all ticket holders. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
The annual Chinese harvest is being celebrated all around the world. This time of year sees millions of Chinese taking part in events and spending time with loved ones. But there's a unique take on festivities in Dunedin.
Celebrating the Chinese Moon Festival, local performers have been putting on a show at the Dunedin Chinese Garden. They've delighted the Chinese Consul General, who travelled south from Christchurch for the occasion.
In such a unique and authentic Chinese surroundings here in Dunedin, it's a kind of luxury. So that made me feel very comfortable and very impressive.
Each year in China, the Moon Festival is a celebration of the harvest season. It's commonly called the Mid-Autumn Festival, although in Dunedin it's happening during spring.
This is one of the most important and well-known traditional festivals for us Chinese.
It's also an occasion for well wishes and being with loved ones.
It's typically a time for families to get together and about reunion and having mooncakes together and just a time for celebration and being with one another.
As well as music, the festivities included cooking classes and storytelling. More than a dozen performances were staged, mostly by members of the local Chinese community.
I imagine a lot of locals haven't actually heard of a moon festival before, and coming to the garden and experiencing a moon festival for the first time, it's a great way to just experience a slice of Chinese culture.
This annual festival provides a taste of the Orient for some and a taste of home for others. Rosie Mannins, 39 Dunedin News.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on 39 Dunedin News. A local political commentator says adding the Red Peak flag option to a national referendum is likely to be a waste of money. A performance by a renowned Austrian actress is helping to raise the profile of the National Centre for Peace and Conflict Studies. And several sporty locals are preparing to compete in the World Duathlon Championships being held in Australia next month. Well, it's time now to find out what's going to be in tomorrow's Otago Daily Times, and we're joined by Barry Stewart. Good evening.
Hello, Rebecca. Dunedin's empty shop fronts could soon be alive with art and theatre. The DCC is planning a program to bring artists and building owners together. So that's something exciting to look forward to. We also in the ODT tomorrow we meet a man from Spain who's been navigating the New Zealand coastline with a bicycle and towing a surfboard. So taking a dip at the same time. So, and in sport we wrap up all the action of the Rugby World Cup, and in travel we go to the Lakes District in England, and of course we have Signal, our big TV guide.
That's all in tomorrow's ODT. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Time now for local weather.
This weather update is proudly brought to you in association with Silverhorn's Puff Plus.
And here is tonight's City View is taken of a man practicing on the chipping green at St Clair. Why isn't he at work? Around the city today at 3 o'clock, 14 degrees for the central city, 16 at the Gardens and 15 out on the Tyree. Well, to the situation, and the anticyclone is moving away now with a milder northerly flow spreading onto the country. Well, to the main towns in the Lower South Island for tomorrow, fine weather in Invercargill with northerly winds there. A fine day for Gore and Alexandra, bit of cloud around for Tianau with northerlies, 15 degrees there. Fine with northerlies in Queenstown. It's northeast winds for Oamaru, but otherwise fine. And a fine day for Wanaka and Twizel, both towns expecting 17. And Dunedin tonight, fine with a low of 7. Mostly fine tomorrow with nor'easters, 13 degrees. And on Wednesday, northerlies and some high cloud with 16 degrees. And to the Otago Pallet Fires tidal and fishing information, high tide tomorrow morning is around 5 o'clock. Low tide follows at midday. And fishing conditions look bad tomorrow, although if you were keen, you might like to have your line in the water at 20 past 2 in the afternoon. That's all from the team here at 39 Dunedin News for Monday. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.